All right.
Cool. We are live, recording, ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, another episode of The Financial Life, but it's on the ultra special segment because why not? Military Mondays. So I have a fun guest today named Atlas Altman, but is that his real name? What's his story? Who knows? I have no idea. Or talk about it. Today is another episode of the Military Mondays where my job, what I want to do is promote my fellow veterans. I'm a veteran myself, so the Marine Corps, promote their messages, their stories, what they're trying to do so the world knows, as you know, because Veterans Day should not just be a day, it's time throughout the year, at least in my opinion. It's my job and it's my way of saying, hey, let me help support you. So with that being said, we'll get started, but real quick, shameless promotion on my end. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. I do little things with financial literacy, some one-on-one life coaching, and little things with some credit. If you'd like some help with that, do go to speakwithmatt.info. Again, speakwithmatt.info. Book a 30-minute call with me. All right. No need to put in the triple W. Just speakwithmatt.info. Do that and we're good to go. That being said, Alice, my friend, how are you? Thanks for being on, man.
Hey, Matt. I'm good, man. Thanks for dealing with my technical difficulties. What happened was crazy. We're
Yeah.
not going to talk about it, but it took us a minute to set this up because my computer decided it wanted to have a name and be a real boy, and so we had to turn that down.
Exactly. Like, I'm be a real boy. It's like, no, you're not. I identify as a human. You're a computer. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work because I
Yeah,
don't have
man.
to.
So we've talked a couple times now. And one of the things I wanted to bring your audience was exactly what you just self-promoted. You got to self-promote, man, because if people
Yeah.
don't know what you can do for them, they're just going to be like, cool, you're another person and you're bringing a lot of value.
Yeah.
So I'm going to help promote you a little bit more because my whole book it focuses on people like you
Mhm.
coming into someone's life and then changing it, and you're doing that a lot. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
I don't think you get thanked until the end, but like I know like there's a lot of people that
I
really
like
need
that.
you. So
I'm gonna
it's just
start
like
telling all my guests,
ah.
thank me now at the beginning. I just started.
Yeah.
Thank me now. Why? Because I said so. Do it. It's my podcast.
It's like a musician, a magician. It just, here's a trick. And people are like, man, I saw it, but I didn't see it. And you're like, oh, no, it's like this. The thumb comes off like
Right.
this. And then ta-da. But no one claps until the end.
You're
They're
right.
all in
They're like,
awe.
okay. Or the worst is when they don't get it. And you're like, ta-da! It's like
Yeah, no, look,
awkward.
check it out. It's right here. It's in front of you.
Right. The awkward silence. That's the worst. Like
That
I'm
is,
sure you've seen, not to go up, but I'm sure you've seen comedians that are brand new and they tell a joke
yeah.
and no one says shit. It's just like I feel bad. I'm like, oh, I'm not even there.
Yeah. I got a funny. So I recently applied to go to like this invite only TED presentation
Yeah.
in Atlanta in a couple weeks now, and it was like, tell us a funny story about yourself, and I'm like, oh, where do I start? But then I'm
No.
like, so I wrote it, and then I sent it to one of my friends.
Uh-huh.
It went something like this. The last time I got on a treadmill and ran was in Afghanistan, and I was in the SEAL gym. And I started to hit that little black arrow and a little up arrow. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bop, 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 bop. And like I started smelling something really like odd. And I was like, that doesn't smell right. And I looked down and the treadmill was on fire.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap. So I Fred Flintstone my way off. Good thing I watched that as a younger kid. And
Yeah.
then I got the bottle and I sprayed it all down. And it was a SEAL gym. So the fire department immediately showed up because, they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm not a SEAL." But okay. This thing caught on fire. And they were like, "Yeah, what happened?" I'm like, "I think it's a sign from God that he doesn't want me to run on treadmills anymore."
He wants
And
you
you know
out
what?
there.
Ever since then, I've never caught in hell for running on treadmill.
There you go.
See the crickets there? I
Yep.
just paused for dramatic effect. Not a good line to end it with. So,
No.
so I pushed that out to my friend, and he goes, "Yeah, I could read it like that, but it's probably not one you want to share, out in a party environment." I'm like, "Well, I'll try it on a podcast." And I just bombed it right there. You're
Boom.
welcome, everybody.
For now in forever recorded history, the waves will go out from this place to the universe. And people will go, He's talking about a pot. What? A treadmill? And what does this mean? I don't understand. Is this a symbol? Are they talking about the?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like years
No.
later, they're gonna be like, what were they talking about? These people. They
Yeah.
ran these machines. They ran on them. They did.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it down. Here's the story. This is what it means because you never tell a story without meaning. So what we do on life is we think we are fine, and we
Hmm.
get on this treadmill, and we think we're gonna advance ourselves really quick, and so we start hitting the buttons, right? And that's credit cards, man. That's going in debt, man. That's like
Yeah.
you ain't going nowhere.
Nope.
Everyone sees you not going anywhere. People are like, I wonder what's gonna happen. And then your treadmill catches on fire.
Right.
And this happens to everyone. I just told the story of it actually happening to me. So there's a couple options. You can actually look at it and be like, that's not good. I should probably get off. And there's a whole lot of things that process in your head whenever you're stressed out to the max.
Yep.
So you're trying to assess the situation, and what do you do? Well, immediately I hit the fire department guys to come over. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I grabbed a fire bottle and I tried to put it out. Now, they finished putting it out. I didn't tell you that part of the story, but I called the experts in to help me get off of this. Could be a
Yes.
death trap, man. It
Yeah.
was a death trap. So I could continue to run on that, run the wheel right off of it, and run into the fire, and then have a really bad day that ends up not being so fun to be in that predicament. Or I could do exactly what I did. And this is the process. This is my process that I
Mhm.
put everywhere. So I'm telling it a little bit different for your audience, because it's a different audience, and they still have the same problem set. Whenever faced with a problem like that,
Yep.
people look at it and they go, um, how much is this going to cost for this problem to go away? That's the
Yeah.
first question we're all conditioned to ask.
Hmm.
And then the second one is, how long is it going to take for this to become not a problem? So, how much time is it going to cost? When can it be done? And then the third question is, who can help me? And the problem we have in our lives, in our society, is we ask the right questions the wrong way. We
Mm.
ask them in the wrong way. You know what? If you ask the right person, if you ask the expert, they're going to tell you the best way to do it, the fastest way to do it, and it's not going to cost as much because you did the right thing by asking an expert.
Right.
People fail to see that all the time. It's like the guys trying to fix their cars in a driveway, and then it gets towed to the mechanic. That costs money. And then the mechanic says, you messed this thing up, and this thing up. Costs you more money. I was
Yep.
just trying to save money. Now I'm spending more money.
Right.
They do it the wrong way. And it's not just in this environment, it's everywhere.
It's the
So,
order. This is what you were saying, that there's
yeah.
order that you should go off. That's like, okay, asking us for first, tell them what it is, maybe
Mhm.
then give you some, tips that you can do it. And then you're like,
Yeah.
nah, I shouldn't do it. Let me just go to you and here's what it is
Yeah.
your money for, and make the problem go away. That makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like that. It's kind of funny that, yeah, that does apply to pretty much everything, because especially in the credit space, where people try to work their credit, they don't
Yeah.
take time to learn it. That in this
No.
case, that could be going to an expert, asking questions. They try and do it, and then they're like, all right, it's almost like I give up. Then they find out, me. In this case, it wouldn't be like the driver. Actually, no. In some cases, it's like that, where they find out, yeah, I told them, you didn't pay this. They're like, I didn't. No. And
No.
they're
You
like,
did.
dang. I'm like, this. You would you spent more money. I would have saved you money to be
Yeah.
invested with us or in other things that would help your
Yeah.
credit, versus just throwing money thinking it's going to go somewhere. So yeah, you're right on
Yeah.
that. That's absolutely right. It's like people, like, it's like we're afraid to go extra because we think that's going to cost way more money,
Mhm.
and it's like it's not a cost. You have to look at it as an investment that's going to save you time, collapse time, to get you to where you want to be faster. Now, if you do it
Yep.
yourself, by all means do it, because there are people who want to do it, but the thing is, they'll take time to learn it and master it, get to it.
Yes.
That's different. It's fine.
No, it's not. You need to
Yeah.
find somebody like you to be like, here, man, here's the path. Just get on the path.
Right.
You have to pay a little bit to get on the path, but it's gonna save you a ton of time and money.
Right.
So here's the upfront. And it's not like you're hiding the cost of this, but what you are hiding is the cost of what the other option would be. You're not telling them what it is, because it's up to them how far they want to dig themselves deeper into this hole that they got themselves
Pretty
into.
much.
You
Pretty
know,
much. Yeah.
so that's my whole book, and the money section of my book. I mean, the book it went well. It did well. It was #1 in 12 categories on Amazon, and one of them was business and economics. And being #1 there, I caught a lot of heat because I put a lot of these stories, like I just told you, in there,
Hmm.
and then I related them to the message. And people don't want the stories; they just want the stupid message. They're like, "But give me the message." And I'm like, "All right, man."
But you learn better
You,
with the story with the message attached to it, and then you're gonna actually like make sense. But so like
yeah,
just get a point. I'm like, okay, you can do that, and then you
yeah.
learn the hard way. But what is the name of your book anyway? The title of it.
Oh, the name of my book is Rule of Three, and essentially, it's this. It's really it's life in general. As you grew up, you got told stories like Goldilocks, where she had three choices three times before three bears showed up. It's
Right.
this cycle of three. And then math is 3.14. It's three numbers. It's the magic number in math. And then politicians use it in speeches to say, I'm going to lower taxes. I'm going to give you a cheaper gas price. I'm going to, make sure there's more jobs. And then they stop and they go on to the next thing. And then they give you three more things. Your brain can only process three things at a time. And as a leader, what I noticed over the last 30 years being in the most elite teams I could be in, working with Green Berets and Navy
Mm.
SEALs and Rangers, and working in the fighter pilots, my last job, working with fighter pilots, like their training cycles and all that. It was amazing to watch the same cycle appear. And it's always three things that we're looking at as leaders, and you can apply it to your life. And it's those three things that I just told you about. But it took me 30 years to pare it down to that. I took all of the decisions that were made by the 4 stars, the 3 stars, the 2 stars. If there was generals in my path
Hmm.
of the people I was working for, they all made decisions. Every leader made a decision from chump to champ. They made a decision,
Right.
whether it was a good one or they made it a good one. I got to study all that. So I started looking at 6 things: who, what, where, when, why, and then how, because I was fancy. I added that how in there. That's 6 things.
It's fancy.
And yeah, I mean, we do that with life. Like as a kid, I saw that was the decision cycle that most of the people were using. So I was like, okay, if I get all this information, I can make the best decision. And then the 4 star general taught me there was only 3 things. And it was the 3 things I just told you: how much is this going to cost?
Right.
When can it be done? But they always asked the who question first. They always started with, they said, who can do this? And then they would ask them, do you need money, or is this something you can do on your current budget? And amazingly, the experts were always like, I need like 4 days. And no, I got it. And it's like, if if you look at that as people approaching life problems, they look at it as, oh my gosh, I need to come up with how much do I have on my credit card to cover my vehicle being fixed,
Yeah.
instead of, hey, maybe my neighbor who's a mechanic might be able to give me advice on, oh, it's just a filter that I can change. Oh, well, that's cool. If you just ask the expert, they're going to get you the solution a lot faster. And the 4 star generals learn that. Then I saw billionaires doing that.
Mhm.
Billionaires, like they first start into hiring processes, and they're like, these people just aren't right for what I'm doing, so I'm going to get some new people, and then boom, it blows up, and they're like, wow, this is awesome, I should have done this sooner.
Right.
Everyone goes through the same cycle, but some people have to learn it the hard way. My mom used to say it like this. she used to say she said people learn 3 ways: they can learn by reading the sign, they can learn by watching somebody else do the action they shouldn't be doing, or they could pee on the fence and get shocked themselves.
Unfortunately, people will take the hard route, and it's like, okay.
I think we all do that. But yeah, so the book is the 3 things that everyone should focus on to lead themselves through life. It's specifically on elite leaders, some things that I pulled away from the top generals in Iraq and Afghanistan that I got to work for. And I was a director for the top general of special operations in Afghanistan. And he did the same thing, and just kind of that was the nail in the coffin. He was looking for people, and the people have the solutions, and he was consistently looking at people to provide the solutions, and they were delivering. And
Mm,
then, I left like 6 months before we all left. I didn't get to see the end, but man, I was so moved by that I finished the book, pulled it back from I had it with a friend at Harvard Business Review. So I pulled it back from them, self-published the book, and it did well. It did well. But the smallest section is the money section. And the reason why it's the smallest section, and I managed billions of dollars while I was in the Air Force. I had billions of dollars under my portfolio. And that wasn't just like things that I was responsible for in assets. That
mhm.
was actually like how we're going to do major operations. And what I noticed was there was professionals that spoke a language that I trusted, and they delivered. And I
Yeah,
would ask them a few questions, and then they would give me a better solution. But for the most part, I went to the experts. So the process with money for me, and what I put in my book is, if you're familiar with the process at work that works, if you're in a Fortune 500 company and you're going through their process, look at their process and apply it to your life. For me, that looks like very budgeted, because all governments are budgets, right? But I don't believe in budgets per se. I'm not a
mhm.
Dave Ramsey fan. I don't think people should put money in envelopes, and then, whenever they don't have money for food, they're like, "Oh, well, I don't have any money for food." Yeah, bro, you need food. So, how are you going to get that money? And
Right,
it's usually something that you can provide as a product or a service that can give you that extra boost, and that will help dig you out of the hole a lot faster. And I found that through all of the units that I got to work for. Whenever we would run out of money, we would look to other units to help us out. And if it was something that benefited them, well, then they would help us, and
right.
we would both benefit. But people are stuck in this mindset where it's just me. I'm the only one having this problem. Nah, man. This isn't the first rodeo for a lot of people, and there's somebody that's going to help you, get your 8-second ride, then get off that bull. Trust me, it happens all the time.
I bet. Let me ask you this. So I'm curious to this one. Why are you not a fan of budgets? Because that's like everyone's like, you need a budget. And I'm like, I'm not a fan of either. I just don't like how it's taught. There's
Yeah,
things I believe that it should be taught in a different way where people go, oh, okay. I'm not limiting myself to just this. It's like
yeah,
your human nature is gonna kick in and say, we don't like this, you won't follow it. So
yeah. Well, okay. So I don't believe in budgets. I don't believe in goals either. That's another one that we could
oh,
talk about.
controversial.
Yeah, yeah, I know. So budgets and goals, they both put you in a one-track mind, just like you said. So if you're focused on that one thing, if you're focused on a number, it doesn't grow. It only
Yeah,
gets smaller. Budgets are made for government agencies where they're supposed to be controlled, and this is the amount of money that they can do. Beyond that, they need to look for a partner. And a lot of government agencies aren't looking for a partner because we're so politically focused on who's right and who's wrong, and party focused, all that crap.
yeah,
You don't have to play that game. You don't have to be there like that. You can show up different. So for budgets and me, I look at how much my life is going to cost, and then I look at what I need to do in order for that lifestyle to happen. And there are extras on my life that sometimes don't happen, like a vacation or whatever. But me serving other people, I always pay for that first. And so budget rules esque, but I don't believe that you should myopically look at one number and say, I need to stick to this number, when you're so much capable of doing so much more. You can make more money. There's something that that can be put into words on paper and be sold, like
right.
this, like a book. And it doesn't even have to. My first book was a kid's book, and it
Huh.
was an international bestseller. It
Oh
doesn't
wow.
have to be a huge thing, but when you start investing in yourself, you're going to run out of budget, because investing in yourself, whenever you start to believe in yourself and realize that you have the solutions, you just need the people to come alongside and help you get across the finish line.
Yeah.
Bro, your life starts moving a lot faster than a budget can keep up.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That makes sense. And that lines with what I said about budgeting is that like it's like the problem is people think, okay, you're right. Like they're stuck on one number, but the problem is that's not how it's always going to be because the
Nope.
economy changes.
Yep.
Something happens to your job, you get sick, whatever. Like life will hit you sideways, and your budget only 4,000 a month, for example. It's not sustainable like that. There's
No.
a thing called change that when it comes to budgeting, no one talks about. I'm like, so what I tell people, like, you have to increase your means and always increase and do more.
Yeah.
That way, that way you get your flexibility can grow because you're going to change, and it's not talked about like that. It's like this is what's okay. So this is what we're gonna do. And I'm like, what really gets me too is when you see these people who the anomalies, the mutants who are like, I was $300,000 student loan debt and I paid off in 3 years because I didn't do anything else in my life. I just sat around ate ramen noodles and beans. I'm like, shut up. No one's gonna do that. Shut up. It's the most ignoring story. It's like, congratulations. Anytime I
Yeah.
get 2 jobs, I do anything but work and eat. That's
Yeah.
not. It's not.
Nope.
Well, how is it not possible? But it's just not something most people are gonna do.
No.
It's
It's
like, you know what I
definitely
mean?
not. No. The it yeah. So the common saying is money doesn't buy happiness. But I'm gonna tell you what, I've been broke and I've had money. I would rather have money because being broke buys me absolutely nothing. And ramen noodles are ramen noodles, but they're not something I want to eat every day. I don't
Yep.
want to be tied to someone else and their schedule and their product when I know I have something better in me. And for me in that whole path and being an author is something that opens doors. You know, you can share an idea that's polished. If you're a
Yeah.
kid's author, you can share that because if you can explain to a kid, you really understand it. But those type of things, they're exercises. The authors get booked on shows and podcasts and all that because they have a polished idea to share with somebody. If you spend the time and polish that idea, you can too change someone's life. And that equates to some monetary benefits.
Yep.
That's just how the world works. If you help other people, you're going to get helped yourself so that you can keep helping other people. And so finding people, like I said, like you, man, like your expertise, it's needed because it's going to help so many more people find that next level of success. And without you, they wouldn't find it for 5, 10, 15, maybe never years. And that's just an amazing thing to do. So I got to commend you on it
Oh,
because
thank you.
it's a big deal, dude. It's a big deal. So keep going.
That's the plan, man. You know, keep it going. People help people out, and just my message for people on this, like, it's when it comes to your money and things, it's well, in this case, when like credit and stuff, it's changeable. You can change it. You're not stuck where you're at. Period in a
Right.
story. And then if you're willing to go within, you'll see if you're curious and all that stuff how you got there, and let's identify the root causes and other things too. Because if you don't, because at the end of the day, I tell people like credit repairs the band-aid. You get a lot of people, credit gets fixed, and then 6 months, a year later, they're right back where they were before. This time with the
Yeah.
house or whatever, and it's like you don't want to do that because that's work that you did to maintain it. Now it's like well, what are you doing? Like, what are you not addressing? Like when you get money, or what are you doing with it? Do you have a tough time to make more money? There's beliefs you have. All these we could go down a whole rabbit hole on this,
Yeah.
but if you look into that, then you'll go, oh, like question you could ask. I'll ask some clients like, what were your first early or what were your first memories about money or
Hmm.
earliest memories about money? And if you hear that question, you're probably like, what do I remember about money? And
Yeah.
you will find something. Could have been you could have seen your parents fight about money, or you had something you said, hey,
Yeah.
mom and dad, I want X, Y, and Z. And they probably came down on you hard for no reason. I mean, it's not your
Okay.
fault, all these
Yeah.
things that like you're still carrying on to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That childhood programming does not go away because no one sat then, no one sat with you and said, hey, all those beliefs you had as a kid, that you don't
Yeah.
have to use them anymore. You're an adult now. You can have different views.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Eric Byrne, he wrote a book in the 60s. It's so you can't there's no way he could publish that today. But he kind of talks about that, how you're programmed as a kid. And if you ever heard someone say stroking your ego, that came
Mhm.
out of this book. He talks
Really?
about three egos. He said there's a child ego, an adult ego, and a parent ego. So there's three egos that everyone communicates in and they make decisions in. He said all your core decisions, and like money is one of them. People is another one, so people, time, and money are the core things that I talk about often. But
Right.
like money is one of the big things. And you're right. You're programmed as a child based off of your parents, your aunts, your uncles, what's in happening in your life back then. But he talks about it in an alcohol example. He says if you take somebody and you put two adults at a party, and one adult says to the other, "Hey, do you want a drink?" And that adult's going to say, "No, I shouldn't." And that's parent to parent, right? But then the parent cycle goes down to the adult and says, "Just have one, man. You're responsible for one."
Right.
So they both go down to this level, right? And they're talking at this level. Then one becomes, three, and they go down to the child ego. Most people make decisions still today based off of their childhood influences in the child ego form. So whenever you're stroking an ego, you're stroking it down to the next level. You're stroking it down to the next level. Now, what's really interesting is the child ego has two phases. It's the child that listens and the
Uh-huh.
child that doesn't. And the child that
Oh,
doesn't. And it looks like this. You've had too many drinks. Give me your keys. And they go, "Yeah, you're right." Or they go, "It's my car.
right.
Screw you. You're not getting my keys. I know you just want my car." And so we go through that with money. You go through the same cycle with money.
Right.
Should I do this? I don't know. It sounds like it could be good. Well, then you start going down in this cycle.
Right.
Well, how good is it? Well, it's a concert that we're never going to see again. These people, who knows how much longer they have. And they're like,
Right.
"Oh yeah, now you're down in a child ego.
Yeah.
Talk about how do we get backstage?" You're
Right.
throwing it all out there. You know what I mean? And you have this experience once, and then it's gone. And you're like, "How did that happen?" You went down on levels. So I'm sorry, I just got a little animated there. I'm not sorry.
Oh, it's
That's how
fun. It's
that's how
good
it
though.
works.
It's
That's
how
how it
it's
works.
how it works. Is
Yeah.
that's it's people don't realize that you're the center of your life. So you are the center of
Yeah.
the universe, and like you
Yeah.
have all these influences and things that happen that, and people wonder why, "Oh, I'm not getting what I want." Well, you have to look into these behaviors and things, and it's like it's a journey, it's a process. You do
Yeah.
that, and then you go, "Oh, like I've shared this story before plenty of times now, where for a long time when it came to saving money, it was challenging for me, and for like the dumbest, well, not dumb, but it makes sense because when I
Yeah.
was like 13 years old, I was 12 or 13. 12 or 13, it was like late 90s. I used to babysit for a neighbor down to 5 kids. They're all good. I used babysitters.
Yeah.
You pay $5 an hour. It wasn't a lot, but when you're 13, it's like,
That's a lot.
yes, I have my own money. I can buy my own stuff now.
Yes.
I can get what I
That's
want.
right.
And so my mom, in her infinite wisdom, would to get me to save money, would take all the money I would get and put it away. I couldn't spend a
Mm.
dime. And I learned real quick, well, this sucks. So if I work 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever, get $20, 30, whatever, I had to give it all to her. And I
Yeah.
remember one time I had to beg her for like $50 of my own money to buy it was a Game Shark I had PlayStation 1 at the time, so I wanted to
Yeah.
like buy that to get the cheat codes. So mom,
Yeah.
please. I'm like, I was just, and she would. So what happened was years later, as I know, I should save money. It's a rational thing. We should.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
would make the transfer over, and I would feel such internal resistance to doing
Yeah.
so. Everybody was
Yeah.
like, "No." I'm like, "What is it?" And then I got certified with magnetic mind. I went, "Oh, I know why now." I was
Mm-hmm.
13, and my rational mind said, "This sucks." And then conscious mind went, "Well, this sucks. We're not doing this anymore. We could die not doing it." So I made the
Yep.
unconscious
Gone.
belief I shouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just what's kind of, and I'm not, and you think about it, like that's what I did when my mom's trying to get me to build a good habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
What have we done in our lives when it comes to money, saving,
Yeah.
spending, all these things, and other
Ugh.
things that we weren't fully aware of the decision that we made that turned to belief that we just
Yeah.
now have operating within us all the time.
Yeah. I have something similar. I tell you what I tell my kids. It's how to make money babies, and they love
Mm.
it. Actually, everyone loves this story. So, like when I was a kid too, yeah, my mom made me save money, and I was like, "This sucks." And same thing, like when I got to be an adult, I didn't save money. I used to spend it frivolously because I was so controlled as a child. I felt
Oh,
like I was free to do that.
right.
And then so I got myself into, major debt, and then it took me a while to get out of it. Now, whenever I was coming out of it, I didn't eat ramen noodles and all that. I righted the ship. It's my ship to captain. So I righted the ship by little inch marks, to where now I'm going in where I want to go. But what I was doing one day, I bought I bought a Corvette, and it was a classic Corvette. And I was driving home. My son was in the passenger seat, and he was smiling. And I was like, "Oh, he's getting the wrong idea." And so I pulled over and I said, "Hey, dude, you know why I bought this?" He goes, "Well, it's cool." I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool, but I bought it because I got a good deal on it. And in about a month or two, we're gonna sell it for more money than what I bought it for." So the goal of money is it's a tool. You take the money and you give it to someone or something that's going to give you money in the future. You don't give it to someone or something consistently for consumer-esque type of things. So poor people buy things, rich people buy time.
Right.
And if you can buy time, which is what I was doing, you can create money babies. You put your money with someone else's money, and then it creates babies. And then you take those babies and you put them with more money. And the money with the money makes the baby. The money by itself doesn't. So if
Correct.
I'm saving this money, this is why I don't do it as a kid. I was told to save this money. But
Yeah.
back then, it was putting it with other money, man. Like when we were kids, you could get interest rates that were going to give you some money back. That doesn't exist anymore.
No, it
So
doesn't.
the new way is, how do you find money to put it with? And it could be a thing, it could be more money, it could be multiple investors, it could be something that you do for yourself, but you always look for something that's going to give you more money in the future to make money babies, or you won't have a happy family.
No. You'll have a empty nest of no money babies. That's what we're gonna call it. And no, I like you said it because and there's someone else I follow. I haven't watched up in a while. He made the same analogy. Dr. Boyce Watkins, the Black Business School. He talked about like
I
money,
love
money
it.
to make babies, and I'm like that makes sense. Like
I love it.
or money grabs, whatever. You take it to make it to create more and leverage it, and
Yeah.
that's what you do. We're
Yeah.
not taught that. We're taught, hey, go to job, pay your stuff, save money, and and then put away for retirement. And like that's level one where
Yeah.
you
It's start.
start. There's
Yeah.
level 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. There's some other stuff I got told the other day by somebody else who like how it sounds illegal, but it's not. It's like you start an LLC and it helps people start like some it's like a charity nonprofit or something, but that owns the LLC or whatever you
Yeah.
have. That way it's like you can take that money out and it's tax free and use to buy some other stuff. And I'm like, and he goes, that's how Mark Zuckerberg did it. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like next level stuff.
There's,
Like, so therefore he was like, it's there, but the other thing owns it. You get sued, you're fine. Like such crazy things. So it's like, so
yeah.
therefore it's tax free all the damn time. And then when you could just pay that money and put it into a life insurance policy,
Yeah.
and then you're
Well,
just like, it's crazy.
it's nobody's fault, man. We're all taught to do this. Okay. Because we're all put through the same system that is designed to make people work and work for people who are already on the top side of this system.
Right.
Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, where he talks about his dad going through the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
going through all let's get a good education, let's buy a house, let's do all the stuff that we're told to do, save our money, and die broke with a job. And
No
his
sense.
rich dad, was like, I'm going to buy real estate. I'm going to rent it out. I'm going to get all these tax breaks. Right. And then his rich dad spent a lot more time with him and his best friend. And that's the whole book. But the next book, he talks about how money is made. And he talks about how everyone's taught, and that's employment. Go get a job, sell your time for money. And then the other one is get a business, go get an LLC. Now, if you don't do it right, then you're selling your time for money. So that's the top bar that everyone knows about. The bottom bar, which is what is being exposed way more than it ever has been because of the connections for networks and internet and like social media, is how do I invest? And that's making money, babies. That's I'm going to give you some money. You go make me some money, bring it back to me. Awesome.
Right.
Or total business ownership, which is paying somebody else to make you money. And so those parts of the cycle, they're starting to be blossomed into a lot more of what we see. And then you have the choice, right? I can listen to someone like you, or I can try to figure it out by myself. What do you think is going to be faster? Obviously, it's going to be through you.
Right.
So,
It's the expert who
so
knows what they're doing. Like it's so much. I've learned. I've never been myself going like through my own journey of entrepreneur. I've never been adverse to like hiring someone as like coach or whatnot. I understand that. So to me, it makes sense. So to me, I'm like, how do people not want to like hire someone or bring a coach to like it? I'm like, you're gonna just go so much faster.
yeah,
And on top of that, you'll have someone to help you when you inevitably incur or experience challenges or something happens because they'll have the knowledge base to be like, all right, here's what you can do, and be there to help you. Like to me, it makes sense. It's like just do it. But some people don't.
yes,
I'm like, fine, they have free will to do that too as well.
absolutely, absolutely.
Let them
Yeah.
just go for it.
Well, let me go into this then,
Okay.
because it's the goals versus targets. Everyone's focused on goals. That we're all taught this goal mentality. It's the same thing as New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions are goals,
All
you
right.
know? And January 3rd rolls around, sometimes the 5th. You're not doing that anymore because it's just impossible. Everyone likes to use the gym analogy. You're like, you go to the gym once, you don't see any difference, so you stop going.
Right.
Man, that's that's a good analogy and all, and I don't disagree with it. But the focus is very long term, and you need to break that long term objective down into targets that you can hit. When I was in the military, and when you were too, we would set up target down range, and guess what? We had firing lanes, and we would pop the rounds. And if we missed, we would adjust until we shot what we
Yep.
needed to shoot. And
Yep.
then guess what? New target would come up, and we would do
Yep.
it again, but better. And then new target would come up. We do it again, and the range would get longer. And it's like harder and harder and harder. Things are more capable once you get the small, short, and medium range. You get that long range done, but it's not where you start, or you're going to be like, I don't think I like shooting. I'm not good at
Right.
it. So goals are shooting long range targets, and we shouldn't be doing that. We should work our way up to that or take it back to where we can hit it. And then maybe we can do multiple targets. Maybe we can do, a range that's meant for movement. All that stuff happens whenever you start looking at these things, and those things are habits that we're doing in life. So you talk about that. Like, how did we get here? And then you start looking at those, and you could take away one, two, start putting more money in your bank account. Three,
Yep.
four, you're gonna start seeing the numbers go the way you want them to go. Five, six, it's just a couple things most of the time that'll get you back right on track without having to eat ramen noodles. And it's targets, man. Just knock down this target real quick, see what happens. The
Yep.
numbers are not gonna lie. Your bank account is going to look better because you're changing the targets, you're changing your objectives, you're changing your life. So all of that is something that I strongly believe in. It's one of the things that I took away from the military and that I use all the time on stages and panels, to kind of break it down. I mean, this thing right here, man, little target.
Dog target.
Yeah,
God, you just took me back to the reference. Firing dog spirit targets.
yep, yep.
God.
It's what it is, man. But that's how it kind of translates to civilian life. If I'm making gunpowder into noise in my life, I'm making noise in the right direction, and people are going to follow that. People are going to get behind that. People are going to ask you how you're doing it, and it's really easy to break it down when you've been to the range and you've actually made the shots.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree. No, I agree
so
with you. Bring it down. I like how you said that word. It's you take the goal, you're the end result, and you're like, all right, break it down to targets or steps.
yep,
Start where you're at. Here's the first one, the next, and just go from there. And a lot of people don't talk about that. I mean, what I've heard is SMART goals. I forget
uh,
what it stands for now. I'm
yeah,
I've heard so many times.
specific,
Specificity,
measurable,
measurable, attainable,
attainable, and
relatable, and tumultuous.
tan- tangible, tangible. Yeah, yeah, I don't believe in that either. That's too much for people to try to conceptualize. So those things usually get screwed up. You ever try to
Mm,
see? I don't know if any of your commanders made you do like smart like charts, but I was like, I'm not doing that.
No, I know that. He said, I'm not doing this shit.
I am not doing that. And
Smart
yeah,
charts.
yeah. I was like, I'll come up with 3 COAs. How about that? Course of action 1, course of action 2, course of action 3. How about that? And they're like, okay. And that's basically how I did my career for a while. And it works. But having the vision is important. I'm not saying lose the vision.
Yeah,
The the range that we have in our life is there's a long-term 5-year goal that you're trying to hit. That is not a JDAM. That is a series of bullets being fired downrange.
right.
And you have bullets. You don't have a JDAM. We're not freaking governments around here. It's going to take small incremental things to make those big things get knocked down and blown out of our lives so they're no longer threats, so that life looks better, so that we can walk around with more confidence and that we have more power and more buying power, more influence, all that stuff. It's small things that make it happen. So I immediately go to the range on that, obviously.
I like it. It's a great way. If never been to a rifle range or anything else, then you just choose a different analogy. But for us of those in the military, it like works. Yeah, it's more than one bullet you shot at, adjusting,
Yeah.
adjust. That's the thing too. Like people like don't understand it. It's just it's adjusting your course because when a rocket is shot, even a missile, it's off course like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Like it's constantly adjusting to where it finally
Has
hits
to
the
be.
target. So
Hmm.
that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just but for us as human beings, that journey that we're on to achieve the goal or the end result, as I like to say, is what makes you into the person that you have to be to achieve that end result. You cannot be someone who's like, I want to be in shape and be able to run 3 miles with no issue, but you're like overweight and stuff. Those are two different people. Two
Right.
different
Way,
people, not physically, but
way
just
different.
mentally, emotionally, better. It's like you have to change that. That has to be there. So people, it's like it's funny. It's funny nowadays, and you let me know if you agree with this. Where this has all been this has been all of human history, but nowadays it's like people want change, but they don't want to change themselves. And it's like
Yeah.
you can't have it both ways.
Yeah. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die to get there,
Well,
you know?
I'll take the bus. I'll go that way. No, it's not how it works. It's not how it
No.
works.
So I mean, life is a series of pain. And if you're not feeling pain, you're not alive. There are points where you're going to be happy with where you are, but they're temporary. It's like climbing the peak of a mountain. When you get there, the air is thin and it's not meant to be lived in. That space at the top of the mountain is a temporary space. So whenever you get there, enjoy the view, come back down, find another mountain to climb.
Yep.
You're going to actually do that in life are going to make it hard or they're going to make it easier, so you can figure it out on your own and it'll be really hard. You might be going up a path that has a lot of rock scales. It's just not something I would advise to do. Having 40 whatever years, I'm not going to say my age, but I have a lot of life experience now and I realize that
Decades.
when yeah, yeah, that it's a lot easier if I pair with somebody that knows what they're talking about, man. I mean, my whole saying that I put on my TEDx talk was, "Be careful who you let in your life, because they will change it." And rephrased, that looks like, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." You are the average of the top 5 friends that you hang out with, and I would add your social media influences that as well. So if
Oh,
you're looking around your environment and it's not what you want, easiest change in the world is right there, man. Start moving those pieces around. And if people get mad at you, they weren't the right people to begin with.
uh,
And realizing that is a step, but realizing that is a growth step that I think everyone starts to really get whenever they start to make those changes and they start putting people like you in their feeds and they're like, oh, that's actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to look at this
I like your
option right
videos.
now.
I'm glad you like my
Yeah.
videos. It's like, who are you?
Yeah.
How do you know me? I have my videos.
Yeah.
At that one-way fame, you're like, the people call you. I'm digressing. No, you're correct.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that 100%. Why has that song come to mind? Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. Make
Man in the
that
mirror.
change and let that go. I like it, Man in the Mirror. That song's a classic. I love that song as a kid.
Yes.
Such a
Yes.
And it's such a great message too. I'm
Yeah.
attempting to change his way, and it's like, and what is the lyrics? The message
It's
you gave couldn't have been any clearer. If you want to make a change, take it. I'm messing up. Basically,
nope.
take a look at yourself and make the change. Like the men in the mirror,
Yep.
you.
It's Dave Goggins is the one who's carrying that message right now. The accountability mirror is what he likes to call it. Where
That guy is.
yeah, yeah.
I like listening to him. I could never work out with him. I'll just be so because he's
Ah,
doing like 2 days going hard. I'm like, I don't. I'll be in great shape, but I'm like, dude, I'm tired. Like, I don't want to do this right now.
yeah.
I do other things.
I did I
I'll
did one of
cold
his
call if I have
challenges.
to.
I did a couple of his challenges. I did the 4 miles every 4 hours for 24 hours. It's like 28 miles in a day.
Oof.
Um, and I'm an Air Force guy, so the Army guys are like, well, if the Air Force guy could do it, and one of them ended up, going to the hospital for
Oof.
trying it, because I'm smart, dude. I asked the dietitian, the coach, the strength coach at the,
Yeah.
I was in special operations at the time. I was like, how do I do this? And they're like, you need to do these things for at least a couple weeks. I'm like, and then I did it, and I was like, oh, level 1 achieved. And then I
Yeah.
did the 48 hour where I did it every 4 hours for 2 days straight. And
Oof.
that was really hard, man. My foot actually at about mile 38, it opened up and I was bleeding. I had to do the rest of the
Yo,
day.
man, I learned in the Marine Corps that your feet are important as fuck.
Yeah, man.
Like, you don't, people don't understand. I like to run, so I understood. But the Marine Corps really drilled in to be like, you can take care of your feet.
Yeah.
Blisters and things, and you're just it's not. And the thing is, it's not like you're sprinting and running. You're just walking
Yep.
long periods of time. And if
Yeah.
you're not wearing the proper, you got to change your socks. You got to rest. If you had the not the right boots, whatever you're wearing is rubbing against you, that causes so many issues.
Yeah.
That's an important thing, man. Like your feet aren't a joke. We take it for
Yeah.
granted.
Well, I would say your credit score is the same way, man. People just walk right into it, not realizing what's happening, and until their feet are all broken up. Same thing with your credit score. But somebody's advising you on what's going to go on with this ruck, and they're telling you what kind of socks to wear, or maybe you should buy new boots because the ones they gave you are going to crack up.
Hmm.
Uh, maybe you listen to that, and that helps you on your journey. I'm saying there's a lot of parallels to the military life and what we're seeing today, and that's just another one that is totally in your wheelhouse that would resonate, I think, with a lot of people because people are walking right into that, and they're advised that it's important, but they don't really realize it until they have a problem, and then they're like, "This is not good."
It's not good. I need to work on this now. I'm like, you should have came to me 6 months ago. But you're here now, and here's what's going to take it to get you out of it.
Yep, that's right.
It's shock of really I'm like this is how it works. You have a choice. You can be like this sucks, I hate it, or you can play the game.
And
I like
absolutely,
to play games, like to have fun.
yeah,
So let's play the game. What are the rules? How can we? I mean, literally, you earn points. Get the
yeah,
points, or score, do something. You know what I mean? Like, don't
yeah,
let it just beat you down. You
yeah,
know,
for real.
that's why
Yeah, it's
I like pushing to be like, let's break it down. Do this, do
like
that. Go out there. You know.
and I with advances in technology, I'd say it's really, really important to figure it out quick because whenever you're applying for a job, whenever people are looking to hire you for a stage, they're pulling your credit report
They
nowadays
are.
to see how credible you are. It's a thing. It's a number associated with you. And so if it's messed up, it's something you want to fix as soon as possible. But yeah, it would have been great if you would have got that advice before you had a problem, huh?
Hence why financial literacy needs to be taught in schools. And that's coming back. And that's why I have my own virtual financial literacy course for children ages 10 and up to tell them about money, the basics, and ask questions like, I had 4 kids go through last summer. I was like, hey, like, why do you think people don't like the budget? And there's a coaching element. Does money buy happiness really? They're like, yeah, it does. Okay. Okay. Who wants to make 300,000 a year? Ooh, They're all like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so you're working 10 hours a day shoveling horse poo. Who wants it? And they all were like, why? But you're making your 1,000 a year.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
I did it because like to understand, like you have to understand, like just because you're making money does not mean you're going to be happy. You need to
Yeah,
do something, preferably when you figure it out. Now, I enjoy this and do because you do have people that
yeah,
are these highly paying jobs that are miserable. And
yep,
I put that in there to understand there's more to this thing than just getting a job. You need to enjoy it. If you have
yeah,
starts from start, but make a plan. Don't just be stuck. Like get them to
yeah,
think and understand stuff that I wish I was taught when I was 15, working a job the first time. I'm like, wait a minute, I can do what with this money and leverage it and buy more video games. That would have been my like I'm all about, let's
yeah,
do it. But I didn't know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought, man, I gotta stay at this crappy job until I get a degree or something. And it's like that's not true.
It's not true at
Not
all.
true. Just that some of like you could start an LLC, talk with the parents, you pay them the money, they open it, you're on there, then do this. I've been like, man, that would have I would have been like, hmm.
Yep,
I would have looked at school and be like, screw this. I'm making 1,000 a week. I don't need this shit. Yo,
yeah.
if I was making money in high school from LLC, I'd be like, I'd be like, I don't care. I don't need this. Why am I here? Like, I would relax. I'm like, I got a D. I'm making money. I can pay my own bills. Mom and dad, is that what you want? It totally changes things. You'd be like, all
Yeah,
right, cool. You know what I mean? But whatever.
yeah.
My parents were like, no, he's doing you good grades. I'm like, ah, damn it. But whatever. So,
Yeah, I didn't get good grades at all.
but you know
I
what
did.
though?
I
It
didn't.
doesn't. I like
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter in the day. And I
Yeah,
look back, I'm like, what's the point? I need to tell these kids like it doesn't matter. Like those grades, because you look
yeah,
back and go, what was the point? Because the job that you end up going to or start a business, you go, why have to be so concerned about this paper I wrote for in history class or whatever? It's like they don't
yeah,
teach you the experience that employer looks for to hire you, or you're gonna do your own thing, the skills you need to succeed in that to serve your clients and customers.
yeah.
It's not it's
It's
ridiculous, but this is us gonna getting us on our soapbox.
well, financial literacy, it's different for everyone. And
Yeah,
that's why you need somebody that knows, about it to give you the right path because you're going to listen to somebody that's totally on the opposite end of the historical spectrum whenever you just hire somebody without really doing your research. It's like the history class. I took history twice in high school because I didn't see the value, you know? And then later on, when I was getting a master's degree in war, in like national security, I
mm,
saw different parts of the same history lesson that I was supposed to learn in high school, but I saw it in the way that I wanted to see the lessons come out and I could get it back. But back then, I mean, I didn't care. I
yeah.
did not care. It's
Because our mindset was at the time. I mean, you're focused on getting good grades
yeah,
if you have to care about,
yeah,
and then trying to do whatever after school with your friends. For me, it was I had cross country track all through high school, so for me it was like get the grades so I can stay on the track, so I can stay in cross country and stuff, and then like worry about getting to college and stress about all this crap and be
yeah,
like whatever. Now I am doing credit repair, financial literacy, and all this other stuff. It's like, what?
yeah,
I went to college too. And then started the Marine Corps. And I'm here. This point,
yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing? Is what it is. So
It all comes back to service, dude, man. You're helping people's lives and I think that's your calling.
yeah.
And being in that calling and seeing somebody's life changed after some work that you did with them, I think that's the most rewarding thing. It's better than money. Money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you peaks
Yeah.
and it can open up doors for you to help more people. And
Options.
that to me, yeah, that to
Yeah.
me, that's another level of happiness that no one knows about until they reach it. And then they want to do it more. How can I help more people? And it's
Yeah.
not, dude, people get this twisted all the time because like I don't need a lot in my life. I was raised differently, I guess. I don't want fancy cars and a big house and I don't care about all that stuff. What I want to do is help people and I want them whenever they show up to my funeral to say, hey, to my loved ones that are surviving me, you know, your dad helped me, or your grandpa helped me, or your uncle helped me, do X, Y, or Z. That to me is the biggest form of payment ever. And the amount of money that I have coming in that I've amassed over the last, 3 decades, they allow me to live a simple life, and I'm okay with
Yeah,
that. I'm very, very much okay with that. I don't need more, but I am realizing that I need more to help more people, because it doesn't work like that unless you make more money.
exactly. Let's go. Cool. Well, Alice, man, I thank you for being on. This has been a really, really, really good episode. It's been very thought provoking and
Yeah.
gotten some good topics. So, for those who are listening to this, how can they get in contact with you? All that fun stuff.
Yeah. So it's actually me on LinkedIn, Atlas Altman. You'll find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Atlas Altman, and then my website is Leaders Tac Kit. That's leaders dash KIT.com. That actually goes into my podcast, which is about to release next month. My podcast is on successful masculinity. So I've spun off into that. So I got pro fighters, pro baseball, meeting with another champion next week. It's just amazing thing to look at the world differently than what we've been taught. That's why I
Yep.
absolutely love your show, is to, open up some doors that maybe haven't been opened before. And that's my goal with that. That one's called Targeted. So you can follow us on that too. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for being on. We'll have to have you on for part two. We'll discuss that. We'll be good,
Let's
man.
go.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right.